Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on how to handle fear-mongering or scaremongering by the psychopath or the malignant narcissist, someone who has pathological self-importance, pathological self-interest. They are pathologically self-absorbed. Pathological meaning diseased or disordered. And these people vary on a spectrum. How people become very malignant or more severe, then you really start getting into the antisocial personality disorder, the psychopathy. And these people aren't, disabled. These people are in your everyday environments. They're in your everyday relationships. They can be someone you meet at a bar, someone you meet at a work function, someone you meet at your school, your college, your neighborhood, your doctor. And one of the most pressing questions and perhaps most difficult to deal with, and notice how I say deal and not cope. We had a great viewer question that inquired about how do we cope with the narcissist or the psychopath during the holidays. Now, the key to handling it and dealing with it is to not cope, is to not put up. To cope means to sacrifice your own happiness, your own inspiration, your own creativity, your own experience and interfacing and interaction with life, those around you, intrapersonally, meaning within you, intrapersonally with those outside of you. And I want to give you kind of some of the do's and don'ts. Perhaps it would be easier for you to digest and obtain some tools, particularly how to deal with a very severe narcissist, malignant narcissist, or psychopathic event or episode or ongoing scapegoating or stalking behavior. So when we talk about this, we're really getting into some very, very difficult and very craggy landscape. It is very difficult to navigate the landscape, the terrain, your life, your own sort of physical milieu and environment when you are in the midst or faced with this. So fear-mongering or scaremongering is the spreading of frightening or exaggerated rumors of an impending danger or threat or habit or purposefully and unnecessarily arousing fear around an issue. So it is the spreading of fear, frightening and exaggerated rumors of an impending danger, or the habit or tactic of purposely and unnecessarily arousing fear, particularly public fear, around an issue. So I know that we have a number of viewers who are dealing with scapegoating, the flying monkey syndrome. A lot of viewers presented as, where there's others who are, drawn into the saga, the battle, the targeting, trying to bring you down, trying to arouse fear and exaggerated impending doom surrounding you. And interestingly enough, someone had stated, it's kind of like you're the sunshine and then here comes the dark cloud. You feel like there's this negativity, which is essentially what that means if you ask me, perhaps an interpretation. So it's like you're, in the positive, and here comes this looming negative. And yet they, images and behavior speak louder than words. So oftentimes these people will throw a lot of words around, a lot of negative rumors, arousing fear, exaggerating rumors, these sort of things to sort of perpetuate this blanket of doom, despair, Then the feeling that there's something wrong with me, the paranoia, sleeps in, and then it, then gets people into a hyper aroused state. So they then become addicted to the neurotransmitters, which are then elicited and propagated or created by this situation. So, of course, it makes people very fearful. They don't know what to do. Their heart is racing, palpitations, nightmares, visions of, having to cope and then how to cope. In other words, how, but really the question is, how do you handle it? It's to understand that this is a tactic, a habit that these psychopathic individuals will employ in order to arouse fear within you. And they study and they observe all around you, 360, what your buttons are. So buttons that you didn't even know that you had. So if you are not experienced, like the old Jimi Hendrix song, that's pretty funny. If you are not experienced in identifying or observing these types of people, or perhaps you've had experiences that have made you, previously in your life that have made you vulnerable to this sort of individual, and you're now finding yourself targeted, or, you've sort of bit the apple, so to speak, you've bought their love bombing, the way that they seem to be, of course, the beginning allure, we always have to kind of backtrack a little in order to forward track and get boundaries. It's to understand that the love bombing oftentimes is set up under very specific circumstances. In other words, here comes this nitrous female, not like nitrous, inhale, but it is almost like that. It makes your voice change. These people do make your voice change like nitrous, right? Those people who would inhale that stuff and then their voice goes crazy. It's kind of like that. You have a shift of feeling, and perspective when you're around this addictive, psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic individual. So it's equated, in my interpretation, and I like to use a lot of analogies. So it's like when people take a drink. They have a glass of wine, a beer, vodka, gin and tonic, whatever it is that they drink. Anytime you drink, you have a loss of inhibition. So you have a change of neurochemistry. And oftentimes people find this very pleasant, their problems melt away, so they tend to drink. In my mind, how I'm presenting it is for you to understand that oftentimes in the love bombing, there's this shift of feeling or shift of identity when you're with this person. And love, true love, is like this, but it's gradually, and it's with boundaries and standards. And we're going to be doing more videos on how do you alchemize sort of that experience from going to these negative, toxic, habit-forming, addictive, destructive relationships. How do you then emerge, and then how do you identify and have healthy relationships moving forward? We're really, really, really going in that direction. But it does take a lot of footwork and studying and understanding within your own experience of how I feel, how this happened, the causes created the effect, so you can work through it, so you're not just coping. Coping is like, it's still present, but I'm handling it. You don't want to have this element of fear mongering and scapegoating and targeting in your life. And you don't have to live this way. So that's my message is, but when you experience and you understand, though, then perhaps the female psychopath who, especially for the male viewers out there, who have caused this sort of shift in identity or shift in feeling right away. This is a true hallmark, and I feel red flag of those individuals where all of a sudden you feel like you've just dropped everything, you no longer exist, i.e. your problems, your concerns, your weaknesses, your insecurities no longer exist. You're floating, like you're on an emotional, raft. Ooh, I'm like euphoric over here, and it's just like this woman, the suggestiveness and the provocativeness and the communication, it just seems to be so fluid, and I don't even have to say anything and we're having a conversation, and there's all this, yeah, and take my wallet, pay for this. Yeah, here's my credit card, sign away. They're giving you all this information. Here's this, and meanwhile, you don't realize, you're like this, and then they're in your bank account, your ego, pulling it out of you, and then they're like, see, I've got your ego right here, buddy, and so there's this feeling of fear mongering and scaremongering. In other words, this then enters the relationship. So the love bombing in the beginning, it's when you've experienced these sort of subtleties and how this person seems to know you better than you know yourself. Well, how can that be? This gets a little dangerous, okay? And then your neurochemistry is being altered. You are in an altered state. People don't realize it. At first they feel it pleasurable. At first it's like there's this cessation of fear. There's this new communication. Things seem to take on this new meaning, and my life seems so enriched. Doesn't this sound like, a movie? Doesn't this sound like Knight, in shining armor? She comes in prancing on this white horse and carries you away, and, all of a sudden you're driving this white horse and she's on the back. It's just like this fairy tale, or vice versa. Here's your knight in shining armor who seems to fix this or do this or be your arm or be your, all of a sudden, wow, whoever knew a guy could do that, or he would, not worry, I wouldn't feel insecure about that. He seems to put me so at ease, what it is, it's that then, it's the getting you to drop your defenses, because that's what they want. They want you to let everything go and that then have this very, all assuming, cessation of boundaries, where then, they're really into your stuff. They're really into you. They've really kind of taken over the cockpit, so to speak. They've really taken over the gears of your mind through this enigmatic communication style, the psychopathic, because then, there's this questioning, and, the way their communication is, it seems so puzzling or magical or sort of off color, and then there's this intrigue and fascination, but yet you're getting lured in, you're getting seduced, okay? Love and sort of this effused feeling of, is really takes a little bit of work, and it takes a little bit of getting there. You kind of earn somebody's trust, you earn somebody's love. You have the boundaries. You're kind of like, I can say no and this person will still like me. I can say, that's okay, and we're still good. We still have more going on. I don't have to violate myself to be in a relationship and have a good time, So the unnecessary then arousing of fear then enters in, and it's way where then you then, sort of become addicted. So your mind is then experience this surge, a surge of pleasure, and then there's a surge of fear, and then there's, this sort of concoction. The way I describe it, there's this neurochemical reaction within the target, which then is like, I will do anything. It's like the gambling addict. Like they've been at it for 24 hours and they're still like, let me get my mortgage guy on the phone. I want to refi my house. It's like, dude, you're going way out of control. Like, but yet it seems justified, and so this person has you doing all these things which you would never do. So they've got you to disidentify with your own values and your own sort of, your own self. Like literally who you are becomes foreign to you. Your mind then is sort of attacking on itself, and sort of you're really sort of in this ambiguous state. But all you know is you have to make it better. So you then are addicted, more, and nothing seems to satisfy it. And then this person is like, well, then I'll send you this, or no. And then, this paranoia ensues. Where they're sort of maybe, texting you, texting other people while they're with you, or, they're never looking at your eyes, and they're kind of like, it's just this bizarre behavior, but you tolerate it. It's part of the addiction. And the fear-mongering then, instead of just coping with things like, for example, if there is cyberbullying going on. A viewer had stated in a comment that this individual was, kind of spreading rumors about their health, that it was untrue. This is cyberbullying. This needs to be reported. Certain things, when it gets to that level, you need to identify when things actually need to be reported to the authorities. Cyberbullying is illegal. This person can be tracked down and handled by the law enforcement. So look at when law enforcement or other mediators in, your community, your workplace, your family, your psychologist need to enter in, the divorce lawyer, the attorney, this needs to be involved. It is time. We're at that juncture. This is nuts-a-rama, So when this occurs, it's to know I need to stop coping and I need to start dealing. And I can do this. I absolutely can. I will not be intimidated. It's important, for the do's and don'ts. It's important then when this fear-mongering starts, whether it's they're playing with your emotions, they're trying to get you, off kilter, which is what they'll do. They'll use their cryptic communication style. Cryptic meaning, when you understand psychopathy, it's to understand that the entity inside does not have emotions. They do not have genuine connection or attachment. It is truly antisocial and an attachment disorder. Yet they can really appear to be super attached, super connected, super social. It is all a facade. And I will tell you this, very interestingly, there's a lot of information. Once you really dive in deep, Sam Vetkin has a great interview with Richard Gannon, I believe, and he's out of England, the UK. But he has an interesting interview about, how certain platforms, i.e. Facebook, are engineered by people who are asexual, asocial, schizoid personalities, i.e. psychopathic individuals, antisocial hermit types, people who are not social, but are super, super smart. Where is it? Up here in the engineering, the social engineers of society. These people are the founders of these types of platforms, i.e., I'm not trashing anything, we're just talking facts. Mark Zuckerberg, the other engineers of these social platforms, your Instagram, your Snapchats, what else do we have going out there? Your Twitters. These were originally founded by individuals who are of this personality type. You can look at the interview, you can read the information, and they also employ engineers who designed the platform to create, this social engineer of distancing and social invariance. In other words, where, let's make it addictive so people spend an obsessive amount of time on these platforms and are frequently using it and requiring it to feel good about themselves, i.e. trying to get the likes, and the fact that, the most followers on Instagram don't even have any content. They're females eating bananas that have 16 million viewers. And that the actual design and foundation of these social platforms were designed to encourage all these negative emotions. The fear-mongering, especially in the teenagers, the really super immatures, those young 20s, where it's like they're more obsessed and they're more like, did you see this video? Did you see this picture? Did you see this couple? Did you see these guys over the weekend? Did you see what they did? And then the likes, and it's creating this disparity, this envy, this greed, this aggression, this anger, this superior and inferior, and let's the engineers who have professed and admitted to creating a platform that was designed to create this division and make it addictive, which is not positive, okay, obviously. And so it is very important that you then understand how to deal and handle this, which is by understanding the tactics and the arousal within yourself. So to pull back and separate and to see it for what it is, and to understand that you are dealing with someone who has malintent behind their persona. In other words, to understand that you are not the original attraction. So oftentimes the original attraction, I feel, is because there's this mysterious, why is this person so calm in the face of this? Why are they so good and smooth? There's this, everything's, they are too perfect. They are too superhuman. There's a superhuman quality that the psychopath will sort of present, exude, as the psychopath will say, it's oozing out of me. So you feel this then aura around them. Some people might call it charisma, but there's this change of energy in the air, which the psychopath causes you to lose yourself, lose your senses. You're not in your own, value state. You're outside of yourself. You're then attending to this situation which is external to you, and it becomes more important than what's internal. So there's this self-abandonment, a reckless self-abandonment. And so it's to understand the play and the confusion of the verbiage, the way that they speak. So you don't understand it. You can't see it. Your spidey sense is not turned on until you've gone through the relationship, and then you go, that was a detour, and now I'm back on track. So the detour is like this situation where you got way super lost, and your GPS was like not happening. It was not on, And so it's to understand that, but only when you get back on track can you see the shambles and the erratic behavior and the inappropriateness of these individuals. But when you're in the trenches, when you're in the I can't call it a relationship, because really you're not relating to them. They've just sort of taken you over and sort of inhabited you, or just engulfed you. I mean, these are all words that really, there's not really a lot of words in the human language to explain or express the experience. So that's why I'm here to help you those, like, here you go, here's a little bit of a life raft, folks. I know it's scary, but we're safely going to bobble you back to land, and you're going to get on your feet, and you're going to handle this. You're not going to cope. You're not going to stay lost over there in, Vietnam, or wherever it is you want to call where you were. Call it Vietnam if you want. I ain't going back, though. I'm not getting redrafted. Once is enough in this lifetime, never again. So it's to understand that there was play of verbiage. So there's a lot of research that goes into psychopathy and how, the communication is kind of off. The what do you call it? Particle, not the particle, but the nouns in someone will come with it, with what I'm describing. The particle, the I, me, them, the participle, I think is what it's called, is inappropriately used by these people. So they might say to something like, even when you've made a mistake, like they'll say, yeah, you're right, when they're trying to say someone else was right. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they'll use a wrong participle, and they'll then sort of dissect and sort of dissemble you and these words, and then the experience of whatever it was. So there's this sort of decomposing of the participle of the I, i.e. you, in their communication. So they're sort of dissect it and then interject certain things that then confuse the pieces. If someone has not been through this, then you will probably be like, what the heck are you talking about? But for those people who have been through it, they're like, oh my God, now that I go back, and if I'm still with them, I can see it very clearly. So that's your spidey sense. So you're handling it now. You're not just coping, you're seeing it and you're handling it. Like, nope, that's over there, that's over there. I can make a little bit of, cognitive cuts and being like, okay, I'm carving out my boundaries. I know what's right, what's safe. I'm valuing myself. I'm in touch with my senses. My I am is strong. My I am is solid. This over here is trying to get at it and ride it out. And no, that is not happening. Those tools, those tactics, that fear-mongering, it's not going to work here. I see it for what it is. I see how they is used and employed as a tactic, but it ain't affecting me. I am indifferent. I do not care. Those are the physiological emotional states that you need to grasp onto and not care. Report it if you need to. Go to the police. Go to the, figure out, get the attorney involved. Get the divorce papers going. Get the, the mortgage papers going. Get this person out. Gray rock, clear rock, throw the rock. Then you need to get back to you. You need to get back on track. And I am sitting back here. And Veer so sweetly commented that, don't throw your neck off. Peace and harmony. So thank you for that. And they'll use the wrong participles. Like, they, meaning you, meaning we, meaning them, meaning right, meaning wrong, meaning here, meaning there. And they'll twist and contort meanings. It's because they don't have sort of emotional experiences. They don't have things like freedom and joy and love and attachment and compassion and empathy. They really only have like aggression and rage and emptiness. So anything else is a cover up. If they want something, they want it all. And so that's why you oftentimes see these psychopaths like rise, up in the ranks or get what they want very quickly. It's because they're like, I'm cutting this people out. I'm doing this. It's just like, it seems a little grandiose, but then they're doing this, and then you're like, but you don't, because you're not then listening to the lies. So if you're then fooled, you're still under you're still under that shift, under that addiction. You're still listening to them. You're still playing their game. You're still, believing the lie. You're still believing that persona, that false, show, which they can put on. They're the best actors, but they're better than actors. They're more covered up. I mean, because they don't experience emotions. All they do is seek for the power, and also the destruction and the doing away of others. So, yes, a lot of the Facebook, creates this gaslighty effect. And so this communication oftentimes is of that sort of gaslight nature where you don't understand. They're lying unnecessarily. They will just lie all the time unnecessarily. That is the malignant narcissist. That is the psychopath. They will lie unnecessarily. They'll fluff up themselves, beef up themselves, make themselves, which they are not. And they will go to all lengths. I mean, post things on LinkedIn, on Facebook, have aliases, false resumes, false relationships, false kudos. I mean, it's just social engineering. And to understand that, that where the love bombing and how it took place, oftentimes this fascination with them because they did not seem, agitated when most people were, so they kind of put you at ease. This is a really, really important red flag and hallmark for you to understand, and it's not positive, like, oh my God, why are you so calm that your dog just passed, like, and you're just eating, you seem way too chill, you seem way okay with this, and the fact that they don't seem to learn from different fights that you've had, it just seems to not affect them. that is another huge red flag. So there's a huge disconnect between what they say and what they do. Anyway, so, don't go tit for tat when this happens. Do not try to justify the score. Do not get afraid. Do not bite their, whatever it is that they're dangling. No, it's just an act. And get them down to size. Do get them down to size. Do handle it. Do see them for just basically dust that you can sweep away emotionally, because they're not that important. They do not have power over you. You have power over you. You have power over how you feel and the solidarity and security within yourself. If this person has made you go so haywire, it's not good for you. It's not good. They are not good. You don't need this person. You should stop wanting this person. You should stop the attraction, stop the magnetic, let them ride away, sail away, fly away, walk away, crawl away, whatever it is. Just do not dissect and limit yourself. Allow yourself to enjoy life fully, 100%. And do not fall for those crags in the landscape that they try to, stump you up with. And become very well aware that there's platforms, even though that they're socially acceptable, are designed and engineered to create this disparity in this inequality that drives the emotions of aggression and hostility and self-harm. And don't be one of the victims. Don't jump their bandwagon. Do not be deceived. This is your buddy. You can do this. Be solid. Be safe. Be yourself. Be authentic. You are lovable. You are safe. You do have perspective. You do have your senses. We are here with you. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony. I hope that these videos do help. Please share. Please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Come back to you. Come back to you. Come back to you. You are safe. Continue your affirmations. I am healing. I am healed. I am safe. I am brought to safety.